everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Collection Comic of the Week. And, well, this issue and this episode is going to be a little different, and I am going to be talking about a book that may very well be the crown jewel of my comic collection. But because it is the crown jewel of my comic collection, and because it is a book that means a lot to me, and because it is something that is really special, and at this point in time very, I don't want to say one of a kind, but something I can't go out and get another one of very easily, it's going to be extremely different than most of my other collection comics of the week. Normally, if it's a rare book, I'll cite the graphic novel and at least show it off. But this one, this one's a big deal. And this one is, this one's not even coming off the wall. So, well, why don't we turn our attention over here? Yeah, this week's issue is Marvel Secret Wars, Issue 8, the first appearance of the symbiote Spider-Man costume. And I acquired this book along with every other Secret Wars issue at Wizard World St. Louis in 2013. Day one of the con, my first ever comic book convention, and I was just browsing along the vendors, and I saw they had the entire series there for, I believe, $40-50. I can't remember exactly which one it was, and I decided to pick it up, and that was on the Friday of the convention. The Saturday was the private meet and greet with Stan Lee that I'd paid for, convinced my family to help me out with a bank loan that I paid back with my meager minimum wage job in fast food because Stan Lee was going to be there, and I wanted to meet Stan so bad, and I knew I had my especially at that point in time, my opportunities were going to be few and far between. And if you're going to meet Stan, you've got to jump on it. And I did. I certainly did. And, the whole week I was thinking, well, what am I going to have Stan sign? And I had a couple, a more recent Fantastic Four book that I thought about having him sign. And I brought that just in case. And that was, for all intents and purposes, what I was going to have Stan sign. It was the last Fantastic Four book that he ever had written. But eventually I started thinking, well, maybe I should get this signed instead. And then not only did I get Stan Lee's signature on it, meet Stan, and he was awesome. I love Stan Lee. A couple years later, at Indiana Comic Con, the artist on this book, Mike Zeck, and the inker, John Beatty, were going to be at that convention. I brought the book to have both of them sign. I'm like, okay, cool. I can get Stan, who created the character, and then get Mike and John, who helped work on the book. That's awesome. And then the very next year at Indiana Comic Con 2016, Jim Shooter, who wrote the series, was going to be there, and I got his signature on as well. So it became like a project. It became like, getting the baseball or the football and like trying to get all of the offense or all the defense or all the team, all their signatures on it. And it's pretty cool. And it was something that, over the course of 3 conventions in 2 different states, I got a lot of the heavy hitters that worked on that, a very, what some would say, a very important book in the mythos of Spider-Man. But, some people have different opinions, but unfortunately, it's that's not coming down off the wall. That's not getting touched. That is nothing is going to happen to that. We are going to have to view this one through a trade paperback. So let's check it out. Yeah, I know we're not really getting the full effect, but I mean, would you touch that book again? I mean, seriously. But still, we can't appreciate the cover even in a reprinted form here. Amid the chaos, there comes a costume. And there's the little synopsis there. for the Secret Wars and the whole story there, and you know, it was a cash grab. It was, I mean, it was made to market toys, and you know, a lot of purists, despite the history that came out of this series and particularly this issue, would tell you that that's a problem because of the fact that it didn't have as much integrity as other stories. It was just a cash grab for the toys. There's still a lot of, as you can see, a lot of really great art. Like, look at Iron Man here. Like, that's just great. Like, Mike Zeck did such a wonderful job here illustrating all these characters in this epic battle royal. But, at the time, you've never really seen, like, this big-ass war of all the heroes and the villains together. So, it was history-making to a certain extent. And obviously, as, things changed and comic books got a little more sophisticated and the story, the manner of storytelling would grow within comic books, you would see a lot more of these epic battles with a little bit more depth behind them than just, let's all fight. We're the good guys, you're the bad guys, and LFG, but, it's still, from a history-making standpoint, it was sort of a first, at least, with Marvel. And I mean, the action sequences are pretty damn good. I mean, it's not the most in-depth book you'll ever read. It's not the most in-depth series you'll ever read. And maybe at some point in time, we'll do a deep dive into this whole Secret Wars saga. But those were like pretty well halfway through this chapter, this issue, and we still haven't seen the symbiote spider costume yet. Like, it is, like, not even a thing. There's Doctor Doom. That looks really good artwork here. So the most interesting thing to me about this whole chapter is it is known for the costume. It is known for being the first appearance of the symbiote Spider-Man costume. But, I mean, you're getting a little preview here, but we'll get a little deep dive. You'd think it would be the whole focal point of the whole story, but it wasn't. It was kind of almost, I want to say, a moot point. And his costume's messed up and goes on the machine, and what the heck is that? And why is it making my spider sense tingle? Hey, whoosh. Whoop. It's going up. What is this stuff? I'll be an 8 bowls uncle. That's a funny phrase. Has anyone ever heard that phrase before? Different, but not bad. Yeah. And the very end of it, there's a to be continued. That is one chapter in this whole saga, and that is the beginning of a new era in Spider-Man and what one might call very, very humble beginnings. Like I mentioned earlier, it is a very special book. It is something that means a lot to me, especially with Stan no longer being with us. It is something that I never expected to have, it's something that I never expected to become kind of like this canvas that ended up, you know, through several different conventions became kind of this means of just making it bigger and bigger and to me a much cooler piece of my collection. It's, you know, maybe the story wasn't as good as one would think compared to other books we've looked at. Maybe it was just a cash grab. Maybe it is an overrated book, but it means a lot to me because of where it took one of my favorite characters of all time, and it definitely means a lot to me knowing that it was part of something else is a very big deal. I mean, my first convention and getting Stan Lee's signature on it. I mean, I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore when I met Stan Lee for this episode, so meeting Stan's very special. That book is very special, and so is getting the signatures of Mike, John, and Jim, who also worked on this book. So very, very, like I said, I don't know if it fully is the crown jewel. You know, I might wake up a different day in another important book that maybe I took a long time for me to track down. Might kind of be in its company, but it's definitely always in the conversation, and more often than not, I'll cite it as the top. But do you also own that issue? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of comic books, but from the world of pro wrestling, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeekA9, Twitter @athletic_geekA9, Instagram @athleticgeekA9, and if you'd like to help improve this channel financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeekA9. And that, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Later.